So good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to Webinar Wednesday from Sight and Sound Technology. Great to be back again for another month on this May Day, Wednesday, the 1st of May, the first official day of summer. So hopefully the weather will start getting better over the next few days. My name is Stuart Lawler. My colleague Carl Braley is back with us. Carl from Sight and Sound Technology over in Northampton. Carl, in the darkest days of COVID, was a key part of our Webinar Wednesday. So great to have you back, Carl. Welcome back. Today, we're talking about a new product in our portfolio, and we're actually, what is even more interesting, I suppose, we're moving away for a little while from the blind low vision pieces that we have traditionally done on this webinar space to look at support for people with significant or total hearing loss. A really interesting product called SpeakSee that you're going to hear all about today. Adam Lee from SpeakSee, who is SpeakSee's business development manager in the UK, is our guest. He's an absolutely lovely guy. And Adam also featured on a recent show on our Sight and Sound Technology podcast. So you may have heard his voice already. Now, just before I hand over to Adam, let me remind you that if you'd like to get in touch with us today, you can do so by raising your virtual hand. Click the raise hand button, or if you're looking for a keyboard shortcut on Windows, it's Alt and Y. If you're joining us today on a mobile device, you can click the raise hand button on your device of choice. You can also access chat by pressing Alt and H on Windows or activating the chat button on your platform of choice and putting your messages in chat. And Carl and I will be keeping an eye on chat and raised hands. So we're going to have a presentation for about 40 or 45 minutes, and then we'll deal with your questions. If you are raising your hand and you'd like to speak, we do ask in the interest of time that you keep your question as concise as you can. So, Adam, we're absolutely delighted to have you with us. Thank you for joining us. And I'll hand over to you to tell us all about SpeakSee.
Thank you, Stuart, and thanks for the introduction and also for hosting the event. Very, very excited. This is the first webinar that we've done together, so really keen on seeing how people look at the product and any questions that we have at the end. But we've got around about 45 minutes for me to speak, and I'm planning on introducing myself, introducing SpeakSee, the company, and giving you a little bit of an idea as to why we're doing what we're doing and how we're going about that. I'll then spend a little bit of time. I can tell you about the three products that we have, which is our microphone kit, which if you're able to see on the background here, you can see a nice big picture of that. I've got that running at the moment, and I've actually got the captions on multiple screens going at the moment. I will share my screen a little bit later on, and I'll share those captions with you. And I will also generate a QR code during that part of the presentation. And if you do have a smartphone with you or a tablet, I'll invite you to scan that QR code, and we can get these captions coming out on your own screen. And that's a nice way of doing it, so that I can stop sharing content and you can still have the captions on your screen to see how accurate that is. Once we've done the demo as well, I'll pause and we can go through some questions and look at some scenarios as well where the products are really bringing some benefit to people in the UK and across Europe at the moment. Particularly people in a professional environment, students who are really enjoying using SpeakSee to support their studies, and also just general use in social situations where you need some communication support. So if I just start by talking about SpeakSee, we've been founded now for just over 5 years, and for 3 of those years we've been fundraising and developing our products. We actually only launched in the UK a little over a year ago, in fact, and we've really seen a big uptake in business and interest in the UK. I'm the only English person who works for SpeakSee. I'm the only guy who's based in England as well. the rest of the organization are all based in Rotterdam in the Netherlands. So we are actually a Dutch company. And we were founded by our CEO, a fantastic and ambitious business leader called Jari Hasselbach. And he has got both of his parents deaf. He's grown up all the while experiencing what his parents have to go through. And when he was just old enough to realize, he used to see his dad coming back from a busy day at work. His dad was an engineer and spent a lot of time in meetings. And he came back home completely depleted of energy from having to try and lip read constantly through the course of the day, not really having any useful devices that could help him, and really having no energy at all when he walked back in the door. And as a young child, it started to inform Yari's view of what the world should be and what products should be around to help his dad. And that's really the inspiration through the foundation of SpeakSee. And that really does carry through the culture of our organization. We're still only relatively small. There's about 20 full-time staff. We're pretty much all either product development or software engineers, very focused on the product itself. And what makes us quite unique as well is that everybody who works for SpeakSee is either deaf themselves or have somebody very close to them who is deaf. So we try to speak from a point of experience where we've dealt with things in our lives that really inform how we want our products to work. And that goes on to actually how I got involved with SpeakSee. I've spent over 20 years of my professional life in leadership positions in Unilever and Delphi, dealing with automotive and fast-moving consumable goods. And actually, it was my wife who found SpeakSee first. She spotted something on a social media feed about 2 years ago, and she used me as her hearing support to get on the phone and see if we could get her one of the kits into the UK. And actually, it wasn't a very nice conversation, because even though they were very polite, they told me that they weren't selling in the UK at that point, and they were only selling in their home market. So I felt the need to write quite a frank email back to them, sort of explaining all the reasons why they should be selling in the UK and all the support that would bring. And the CEO phoned me back the next week and offered me the job. So that was just about 2 years ago now. And I've been very proud to sort of grow the business in the UK and really get it going. And, my wife has been deaf for 26 years now. We met at university when we were only 18. She left university and went deaf about 7 months after that. So she was just into her new job. She was fully hearing and then became profoundly deaf over just a 3-month period, with a really dramatic deterioration in her hearing. She has quite a particular hearing loss, which means that she can't use hearing aids. So she was left in a situation with not much support, and life became very, very difficult for both of us. We were both still babies, really, and starting to form our own lives. We started to see these challenges in work life. She actually lost her job because they couldn't support her at work properly. It really impacted her mental health, and even impacted her relationship with her own family, where that was becoming very challenging to communicate with them. And we became quite forward-thinking in trying to lobby for support. We're both quite active in the community, supporting charities and lobbying for change that can actually bring some real support to people. So I'm very proud to be working for SpeakSee. I love what we do, and I have some personal experience which really helps us get to the right people and bring them the right products. So with that in mind, I want to show you this, which is the SpeakSee microphone kit. It's a beautiful looking product. We've really taken some time and care in designing something that almost looks like an Apple device. It's about the size of a large mobile phone, but it can fit in the pocket. And it comes with 3 microphones. You've only got one in the dock at the moment. I'm wearing the red one. And I've actually just popped the blue one behind my laptop so that that's capturing Stuart when he was speaking, and he was coming out in a different color. And that really is the big unique aspect of what SpeakSee does. We found that people in a one-to-one situation are usually okay in terms of being able to lip read. But when it became more than one person, you know, you had 2, 3, 4 people all speaking in a group, it became incredibly difficult to follow the conversation. Obviously, if you're lip reading and somebody starts speaking to your left, you've got to jump across, start to understand their lip movements, start to understand what they're saying, and you've probably missed the first 15, 20 seconds of what they've said. And then if somebody else speaks behind you, you have the same problem again. So it can be a very stressful situation for somebody who is deaf to try and follow a conversation. Now, our solution is by having a piece of equipment that is entirely portable with its own individual microphones. You can hand these microphones out to anybody that you wish to speak to, even if you've just bumped into them in the street or in a shop. They can switch the microphone on, and within 5 to 10 seconds, you're getting their captions really clearly coming out on a smart device. The other thing that we were very was very important to us was to make SpeakSee very compatible. So it actually works with pretty much any device that has some form of internet connection. And you can actually connect as many people as you like to the same conversation. That's limitless. So you can access it via our dedicated app through the Apple Store. We've also got another app on the Google Play Store for any Android devices. But a lot of people in professional situations actually use their laptop or their PC, and they simply open a browser. It's compatible with all PC browsers. You just navigate to a particular URL, log in securely with your account details, and hey presto, you immediately got the captions on that screen as well. So it's a very flexible device designed to be completely portable and usable in many situations. The other benefit as well that the product brings is we've spent a huge amount of time designing a very good microphone. And our microphone, if you can see these little pinprick holes, it's actually 4 microphones in one. And that allows our device to triangulate where noise is coming from. It allows it to identify who is speaking. And it also, importantly, eliminates any background noise that you might have. And that's incredibly important because any background noise actually can damage the accuracy of the transcription. So by able to zoom in really specifically on the person's speaking voice, that really does help our accuracy. And typically we are well over 95% accurate. We've had independent studies done against all of our big competitors, including Microsoft, Google, and a whole bunch of others. And we are far and away better than any of them in terms of accuracy. And a lot of that comes from how well we treat the audio. We treat it with huge amounts of care as it's transported over to our algorithm and is ultimately turned into text. So our accuracy above 95% in any background noise. We actually have several product engineers that are using SpeakSee. They're deaf themselves, and they're using it even down on the production floor with huge machinery going on in the background. They're able to have their stand-up meetings with 6 or 7 people line side and have absolutely no issues with all that extra noise. The other thing that our product is very good at, which a lot of other ones aren't very proficient at, is with regional accents. So we've got Irish, Scottish, Welsh customers, all with strong regional accents, still getting very accurate transcripts. It also works very well with a foreign person who is speaking English, maybe with a strong foreign accent. So our algorithms are very good by using context and a whole load of other ingredients in the background to really heighten that accuracy. So at this point, I'd like to share my screen with you guys. So I'm just going to check that I can do that properly. Let's just pop it up. And hopefully you will, in a few seconds, start to see my screen. And at the bottom here, you should be able to see my subtitles coming up in red. I'm not sure how to get rid of this little bar at the bottom, but I'm hoping you can see exactly how accurate they are and that it's transcribing everything I say pretty quickly through the web browser. Now, this also, if I minimize this, has a bunch of accessibility options as well. We do have a lot of our customers who aren't just deaf, but they have multiple disabilities, very often with some kind of visual disability as well. So we've added in several things which can help. Obviously, the first one is to be able to make the text as large as you'd like. I'll drop that back a little bit just to give you the idea. We've also had several customers who don't like the block color. So we've also got the option in as well. If you don't like that, you can choose instead to view your subtitles in black on white. And it gives a little initial next to the subtitles here on the left, just so you can follow who is speaking, because you don't have the colors to help out. Now, I'll switch back to the block color just to show you another color coming in. Just flick back over to the block color. Now, I'm going to take my red microphone off. I'm going to switch over to the blue microphone. Now, it takes a few seconds for our software to understand that the speaker has switched. It's starting to understand my voice, and I can see it coming through really nicely now in blue. Now, what's important to know is I'm actually holding the red microphone in front of me. It's only about 30 centimeters away from my mouth. The red microphone can still hear me, but our software is very cleverly realizing that I'm wearing the blue, so all of my captions are coming through in blue. Now, that might not seem much, but that's an incredibly important design feature when it's being used in a very close proximity. So if you can imagine, this is being used around the board table with people sitting shoulder to shoulder, each of them wearing a different mic. Our software is very clever in not duplicating these subtitles. And that's very important to make sure that the flow of the captions is good and it can be followed with ease. We've also noticed as well the different colors make it much, much easier for somebody in a cognitive processing point of view to assign that color to a person. After about 30 seconds, that sort of logs in your brain, and it makes it a really nice experience when you are following a group conversation because you start to assign blue with me, maybe red with Stuart. And that just allows for your brain to quickly realize who is speaking. So I want to now show a QR code on screen because I want to invite you guys into the conversation. Now, I cheated because I actually made this QR code before this presentation started. You should be able to see that on screen now. And I'll leave it up there for a few more seconds. If you activate a smart device, you switch your camera on, it should automatically realize that's a QR code and it will give you a little button to press. That will then open up the browser on your smart device. And within about 30 seconds, you should start to see my captions coming up on your screen. Now, this is a bit of a tricky one. I'm not sure if you've been able to do that, Carl, but I'm going to assume that anybody who has wanted to join the conversation has done so now. So I will minimize this. And what you should be now seeing on your device is the captions coming up in blue. And in the top right-hand corner, you have some options. You can access the accessibility options, as I just described, and you can change the size of the text on your own phone or change the color. But you can also change the language. Now, SpeakSee is being used by several organizations purely as a translation device. Now, we have up to 70 different languages that are available. This is more for us being able to sell to lots of different countries who speak different languages. But we realized quite quickly that we could add that as an option for everybody. And you can change the input and the output languages, which is a really neat device. So I've just brought up on my screen here the mechanism to change language. You can actually decide to assign a different input language for each different microphone and a different output language. Now, I can't speak any different languages to show that off here, but I am speaking in the blue. So let's just for a second say that we wanted to speak, I was speaking to somebody who was Dutch, for example. They would simply choose that, save it, and quickly you can see that the text has now changed across to Dutch. The red microphone just started to pick up my speech because we've just made a change to the conversation parameters. But after a few seconds, it calms back down again, and we've got some really nice Dutch text coming up. Now, equally, if I was speaking to somebody who was speaking Dutch, I could make the change up here in languages, and I could change the spoken language to Dutch and the output language to English, which means they could speak in Dutch and I'd be able to follow with English subtitles. So there's a whole bunch of different functions in here which give you some other fun bits to play with. Also to note on here is our other product, which I will show you while I'm sharing my screen. This product is actually called Auto Caption. Now, I'll bring up Auto Caption here. This is the digital version of our microphone kit. And for customers who buy the microphone kit, they get Auto Caption for free. This works by just installing a small program on your laptop or your PC. And then this device will subtitle any audio coming over your laptop. Now, it's not picking me up speaking because it's designed not to show my words. But in a minute, I'm just going to play a short video with David Attenborough speaking just to show you how that looks. Now, there's some real benefits with SpeakSee, with Auto Caption. You have full flexibility over how large you want the window to be, where you want to place the window on the screen. You can change the size of the text, the different fonts. You can also make the font larger as well if you'd like. We can go really big. I'm going to leave it at font 28 just to show you this demonstration. So I'm going to drop it back down to the bottom. Oh, just while I remember, this one thing my wife really does like, even though Microsoft Teams do provide pretty good captions, you can't access the captions until the meeting has started, essentially. So you have this little period of panic at the start of any meeting where you're trying to get your captions on, you're not sure if they're accurate, and very often you can miss the first minute or two of talking. What's great about Auto Caption is it can be open constantly on your laptop. You can just sit it in the background. You can test it 10 minutes before the meeting, once you've got your cup of coffee. You can also move it to the top of the screen here as well. And my wife likes that because with captions, they're typically at the bottom. And when you're staring down at the captions, they're just seeing the top of your head. So by being able to move them to the top of the screen, very simple, but it means that you look like you're more engaged with the camera and with the group. So I've queued up a little video here, which I'm going to show you now. Let's just hope this works properly. Oh dear, I've got the spinning wheel of death here.
When it comes to putting your eggs in a suitable place, some insects persuade other insects to do the job for them. This little object looks like a seed, and certainly it's fallen from above, and that ant seems...
As much as I love listening to David Attenborough, I think that's probably enough just to give you an idea of exactly how this works. You get very, very accurate captions coming out here. And this is really helpful in some other ways as well. Certainly for people at work. My wife works for the NHS. They have quite a lot of videos available to staff to learn things like health and safety, ethics and compliance, that type of thing. Very often they're not subtitled. Now, by having something like auto caption, it just means that anything, even just an audio podcast, can be accessed with captions that are created right there and then. So really useful additional tool for somebody who needs some support in that way. Now, the other part of our product that I will just briefly show you, we have a third product called Caption Cast. Now, Caption Cast, we launched about 4 months ago. It's a fantastic industrial version of our microphone kit. And we're using this in large exhibitions and large live events. It uses the microphones from the AV system that's already being used. So if there's somebody up front with a lapel mic or a handheld microphone, we just connect into the audio feed coming from that AV system. We route it through the same algorithm and we generate subtitles that can be accessed by the audience in the way that you are now with a QR code and you have it on your own phone. Or we can merge it with the content slides that are at the back of the presenter, at the back of the stage, and you can overlay the subtitles on there, very much like the BBC sort of subtitles. So you've got multiple ways of providing broadcasted subtitles to a huge group of people. I took a little video while we were at NAIDEX about a month ago. We supported all 9 of their theatres over that 2-day event. I think they had nearly 20,000 people there over the 2 days. And we had some wonderful feedback from people who were just really pleased that the captions were accurate. They could access them where they wanted. One lady actually said to me, "Does that mean I don't need to sit at the front anymore?" And she laughed about that. And such a small thing. I mean, she scanned the QR code and she decided to sit at the back and read the captions on her phone. And that was a wonderful thing, that she didn't have to be herded up to the front, you know, to read captions or to be sitting directly in front of an interpreter, for example. So I'll just play this video. It's about a minute long, just to give you an idea of other things that we're up to. Oh dear, I think I've got some connection issues. I'll give it a few more seconds. But here you can see this here is the device that that connects to the AV system. You've got multiple line in and line out options, which allow you to project those captions onto the screen. I think this is had enough, so I'm not going to waste any more time on this. But what I will do is I'll make this available to you guys afterwards to watch. This is just on a YouTube channel, so that you can have a look at that, plus a few of the other product videos that we've got. So I think that's covered most of the items that I wanted to show you in terms of the product. So I will stop sharing my screen briefly. Come back into the Zoom meeting. I can stop sharing. Here we go. So there's some other added benefits as well with SpeakSee. We were very pleased that we've been approved essentially by the Disabled Student Allowance. We are an official product that can be purchased by students and funded by the DSA. We also have lots and lots of customers who are using their access to work funding to purchase a device. Now, this is really good because I think up to 80% and even more funding coming from the Access to Work grant. This is available for anybody who's in some form of employment within the UK, and it really helps lighten the financial load. And it has a huge benefit as well, because a lot of people who are deaf, the primary thing that they're offered to support them at work is something like a note taker, speech-to-text reporter, or an interpreter. Now, as good as they are, and they are fantastic, really fantastic services, they are only there for the meeting that you've asked them to come and join. And with any meeting, you have the meeting that's an hour long, everybody folds up their laptops, and the next place they usually go is towards some form of caffeine. They stand around and have a wait for the kettle to boil, and they keep talking about what they've just spoken about. They might talk a little bit more in detail about who's going to do what, and talk about some of the problems that have come out from that. Now, of course, from somebody who their interpreter is now left, they're not able to access that portion of the discussion very easily at all. Now, the beauty with SpeakSee is it just allows you to just walk around. It's accessible whenever you want it, within 30 seconds, and you can continue to experience that conversation. I have just remembered the one thing that I did forget to show you. So I will share my screen again. Apologies for this, Stuart. Importantly, if I come back onto the caption screen, when you are lip reading, one of the last things you want to have to do is take notes, because you've got to look down at your pen and pad or at your keypad, and you've got to type away. You're missing those people's words. You're not following the lip speaking. Now, we've got a very simple function here. I'll just show you now. If I click the save option, it creates a little standard text file here, which you can open with your notepad. And if you scroll down, you can see that everything that we've been talking about here is saved in a neat little file. You've got who's been speaking, the time that they said it, and what they said. Now, this is actually very, very useful for some people to run this transcript through some kind of AI program, like a ChatGPT type thing. And by uploading all of this transcript into that, you can then decide to have it make you a meeting summary. So rather than have the full transcript, it can summarize exactly what the key points were, any actions, any takeaway timings, anything like that. So that's a very effective method of making sure that your notes are taken for you. And for a deaf person, that's really important, and it can allow you to just fully concentrate on what's being said. So I think I've covered all of the items here. This is probably a good point, Stuart, and it will probably trigger my memory for any bits I've forgotten. Should we have some questions?
Brilliant, Adam. Thank you very much for that. Really great presentation, and really interesting to see all the stuff that SpeakSee can do in a whole range of different scenarios. But also, I think how it has been driven by users, which is really crucial. And I think that's the thing that for us in Sight and Sound, again, kind of drives our passion around products, users who are really driving these products forward. So thank you for sharing all about SpeakSee. So as Adam says, we're definitely open to questions. You can raise your hand, the hand raise option, by clicking the appropriate hand raise button on your Zoom application. Alt and Y if you want, and you can type in chat. And Carl, I don't know if we're able to go to you for a couple of chat comments, if that's okay.
Yeah, there was one that was sent direct, unfortunately, to hosts and panelists rather than replied to everyone. It's just basically, as someone who is completely and very hard of hearing, so you need sight to use this device, I find products are either blind accessible or hearing aids, but never both.
That's more of a statement, Carl, is it, than a question?
Well, it is, but the thing is with this, it's like when I discussed with you originally, this is not necessarily the case with this, because with the computer, your phone, you can have that connected to a braille display So in theory, it is
Yeah,
both.
You can
and
use it
it's
in tandem with something else. So that one thing we do, and we do well, is we can get the audio into words. Now, we haven't primarily our customer base is deaf, but have some form of sight to be able to read those captions. But as you were mentioning, Carl, being able to use this with something else like a braille reader can give that additional layer of accessibility.
It's like when we first discussed this, I know we've got several deafblind customers that do communicate either through hand signing or via braille. They read braille, and this is a great way for us to communicate direct with them without having to go through via a signer, because we can read the braille that they're transcribing, and they're also reading with their fingers what we're saying, and you can have a full-blown conversation with someone.
Absolutely, Carl. Yes, it's a really good point. Thank you. But I
uh,
think that statement was very, very clear. You know, and one thing that Stuart mentioned, we are very interested in what our customers have. And even if you're not a customer, if you have ideas that we can add into the product to make us more accessible, we might not have thought about it. We're very close to the kind of deaf community, and most of our focus up to this point has been around supporting those guys. But that's very easy for us to make adjustments if we think that that can help people.
okay. Thanks, Adam. I just want to, there's a lot of questions in chat about pricing. We might come back to pricing in a sec, because there's a lot of people want to know about pricing, but there is an interesting one here that I just pulled out. Somebody who works for a large bank. He says, my employer would be worried about anything going to the cloud. Is there any kind of security around that for people in a corporate environment?
I mean, that's a terrific question. We've got some significant customers already using SpeakSee who put us through the ringer, actually, in terms of all the data security aspects. What's important to note is, yes, it goes to the cloud. When the communication is picked up by the microphone and it's transmitted to the docking unit, everything is encrypted here, and it's sent to our server, which is an AWS server, Amazon server, very secure. It's based just outside Paris. Now, for our European customers, they were happy with that approach. The data security is very strong, and we've got some good information I can provide after this to help that. When we were dealing with the Metropolitan Police, when we were dealing with the NHS and some other key customers across the UK, where they're talking about very sensitive things, it might be patients' information, it might be financial. We have the ability to route the data just within the UK for customers who want that. Now, there is a little bit of an additional charge for that, but we can easily route the conversations only within the boundaries of the UK. Our server is actually in Bristol instead, and it just bounces within there. We do need to know this before we sell it to you, because that is something that is non-standard that we need to put into adjust for that specific account or set of accounts. Because normally it will route into France, as we discussed, but that is something that we do support. The other thing on data as well, I would just mention, all of this audio is captured and only stored for 10 minutes. We have an automatic wipe down process on our server, so everything is cleared down. We do not access any of the information, written or audio, for any reason on our product. We don't use it for improvements, or certainly not marketing, any of that sort of stuff. The subtitles also only live for 10 minutes. Now, you'll see on your screens that actually you can scroll back up the conversation, and the words do stay on your device for as long as you want them. But as soon as you move away from it and then go back, there is no history there. And that's also really important. It's not stored on any of our servers at all. And if, of course, you save the copy of the transcript, then it is saved forevermore. We always recommend to companies doing that they write a little policy around how that file should be treated. It should be password protected and saved in a proper way, etc.
Okay, Adam, thanks for that. It's going to pull up a few more questions for you. We have somebody who's working with the Welsh sensory services and wants to know how good is the Welsh translation? Sorry, how good is the Welsh? Sorry, yes, recognition rather. And from switching back and forth between English and Welsh, is that pretty seamless?
Well, so if you've got somebody who is speaking Welsh and another person who's speaking English, then that is seamless, because you can set one person up with the blue mic, that could be Welsh, the red mic could be set to be English, and then they could all be converted into Welsh or English subtitles. That is seamless. If you've got somebody who's speaking English and then changes to Welsh halfway through, you do actually need to go back in and just tell the system that you are now speaking Welsh, not English. That's the only small change that you need to do. And then, yes, it is seamless. Our Welsh is pretty good, but I'm going to really put it to the test. We're actually over in North Wales in a couple of weeks' time to actually get Welsh validated. So we've got a few native Welsh speakers who are going to be trying it Welsh to Welsh. We're also going to be playing with Welsh to English and vice versa. But it is added at the moment in the list, and we can play with that at the moment, but it will be verified in about 2 weeks' time.
Okay. A message from Colin who says, you've mentioned 3 colors for people in a meeting. What happens in a meeting where there are maybe 10 people? What other colors are available, or how are those 10 people identified?
So that's a terrific question. The kit comes with only 3 mics. Okay. So in a larger audience like that, you can buy multiple kits that all daisy chain together. Each of the kits comes with a little set of pucks, different colored pucks, which I can't get out at the moment. Here we go. So all you do with the mic is you just pop your fingernail behind the colored patch here. That pops out. You change it to whatever color you wish here, and then you make that adjustment in the software to match. So you have up to 9 different colors. We can only link 3 microphone kits at this stage, giving you 9 different colors. But we have got plans to do, infinite amounts in the future, because it seems as if we've had some requests recently for 20 people meetings where everybody needs to have a separate mic. But we do have customers that have just bought one of these kits. They do go into a meeting with 8 people. Rather than wearing this, they just organize the room a little bit. So they'll put 3 people together, 3 people, 3 people, and they'll just put one of the mics on the table in front of those guys. Now, it will pick everybody up who's speaking in that little group. Now, the only downside from that is they will all come out in red. So you won't precisely see exactly who said it. But group 1 will be red, group 2 blue, group 3 yellow. So there's a couple of different ways you can do it. The other thing as well, which is nice to know, is there's a little input here, which is a little 3.5 millimeter microphone jack. Now that's there to allow you to put another microphone input into the SpeakSee dock. So this is used sometimes for people who have a spider microphone in the middle of the board table, and that can be plugged directly into SpeakSee. Now, again, that will only give one color for anybody speaking through that mic, but it does allow you to mic up a large audience.
Okay, we have a question that says, how does it work if using a radio aid? Can it be linked? I presume this means hearing aid.
I think if radio aid, if I assume it's something like a Roger device, like a listening device, where they come with their own mic, and then they can be connected directly to your hearing aid. There's a lot of these products out there. They're fantastic and they are compatible. So if you have got something like a Roger or an Oticon listening device, a table mic or something of that ilk, you can just, again, route that through the SpeakSee device here and create that as your 4th microphone, and it will caption. I think it captions, it gives you it in black and white for that 4th microphone.
Okay.
You can also connect it with a bespoke cable we can provide, and plug it into your landline as well. That does need to be set up before the phone call comes in, because it takes about a minute to plug all the cables in. But if it is in situ, when the phone rings, you can answer the phone with the handset, but the audio is split. So a bit comes to your ear, and this allows you to be able to speak back. But a bit of it goes through the SpeakSee device, which allows you to see the captions very clearly. My wife uses this instead of the Type Talk or BT device that they use, because it's quite slow. SpeakSee is fantastically quick, and it means that she can be really comfortable reading the captions, and my wife can speak very clearly, so she can just speak back normally, and then just read the captions of the reply.
Okay. And we have somebody who says, any news on or will SpeakSee be launched in Australia? Don't know if you might know that or not, Adam.
We've sold into Australia, and I believe we might even have a distributor there. I don't look after Australia, so I'll take that question offline. I know we're selling into New Zealand as well, so it is available. I think there's even an English Australian version that you can choose, and it gives you some really good accuracy there.
Okay, and we have somebody who's commented, working in a deaf and blind charity with screen readers, wondering how accessible this software is with screen reading. And actually, Adam, this is a kind of the conversation that you and I had very briefly previously when we spoke, and I think we'll try to look at that and do some testing around that in the very short term.
You're right, Stuart, and I think we're going to defer to Sight and Sound's expertise in this, and you guys have already got some demo kits to play with. Hopefully, that's something we can test out internally with your guys and see what works well.
Okay, there's an awful lot of questions coming in that are generally asking the same thing, which is about pricing. Do you want to talk us through the pricing, Adam?
I can. I mean, very simple. It comes with two parts. You have to buy the hardware, which you buy once, and then you need an annual subscription license for every year. That we sell that in 12-month buckets. The equipment is £899 to buy. Sorry, £890 to buy, and that comes with the 3 microphone kits, the carry case, and all the accessories. The license is £1,290 a year, and that gives you accessibility anytime you want. So that's a full no time limit on how much you can use that. You get the note taking, you get all of the languages and all of the other functions that I've just shown you, all as part of that. We also give you very, very good customer support, and we found that this is quite an important thing. We've designed a product that people become reliant on. As a result of that, we have a burden of responsibility that we really need to solve anybody's problems very quickly. Our turnaround time is usually about 4 hours from somebody emailing us to us solving the problem for them. If there is any problems with the equipment, we will just swap that equipment out and support it that way. Fortunately, we've never had an issue that we haven't been able to resolve remotely. So that's all part of that license package. And as I said, DSA fully fund that. They fund it for you to have the equipment, and up to 4, or I think we've actually 4 years is the most that we've sold in one package, 4-year license. Access to work, our most typical package is the equipment plus a 2-year license. And often with access to work, they also include like a separate iPad or tablet as part of that, just to give the person a dedicated screen that they can use should they want to keep the main screen for presentation slides, and it allows them to have the captions just off to the side.
Okay, and somebody has asked, in relation to pricing, is there the option to have different packages? For example, if someone didn't want the PC subtitling, can they kind of, I guess the question is, can it be customized?
At the moment, no, but that's not to say it can't be. We've not climbed into, what sort of pricing tariffs people need. So it's a one price situation at the moment.
Okay, and we've a question from somebody who's asking, can you try before you buy? I suppose I would probably, and I might maybe nod back to Carl on this one as well. If you give us a shout, one of our sales team, depending where you are in the country, one of our field-based sales team will be able to maybe arrange to show you the device. Carl, I don't know if you want to say anything else about that, or is that
Yeah,
okay?
no, that's fine. Yeah, but we will obviously come out wherever, whether it be Ireland, UK. If you want me to come to Australia to demo it,
I'll go with you to help you.
I'll give it a go. But yeah, it's literally anywhere. It's an unlimited area within the UK and Ireland for demos. So
yeah. Adam, a question says, do you know if anyone has purchased these with their direct payment? Are you aware of anything like that?
Are you talking about sort of a PIP payment?
I guess so, yeah.
It's difficult to tell because I know the access to work ones because invariably I speak to an assessor or I've got to give some extra information. The same with DSA, that's quite an obvious sale. If somebody's used their PIP payment, just through the nature of the fact that that money comes directly to them, it's difficult to tell whether they've used that money or their own personal money. So I don't know.
Yeah, it's personal money linked to a care plan. Apparently, it's just come in on chat.
Okay, I'm not sure about that, to be honest. So no.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, and we're getting some clarification about what those direct payments are. Okay. How would you feel this system would work in an organization of 7,000 staff, where there's a number of hearing impaired people throughout? Would we need to buy several kits within this organization? And the organization is Ireland wide. So I suppose there'd be a number of sites. So would you think, Adam, there'd be a number of kits throughout various sites throughout maybe a large area?
Well, that's a really interesting question because I suppose it depends on what we're trying to do and what we're trying to support. So I would say the majority of the sales that we make are to people in work who are having a device for themselves. That device then goes wherever they go, into whatever meeting or even if it's just at their desk to support people coming over and speaking to them. So that's one kind of scenario. We're speaking at the moment with the BBC and some other larger companies like this. Certainly the NHS, we've got some trusts with people using that. Now, with the kind of BBC model, what they're looking to do is to have multiple devices that are at that location. So if you have somebody who's deaf who comes to visit you, or there needs to be some form of communication support, you go to a central place and you sign the equipment out. You take that with you, you set it up in the boardroom, and that supports that conversation. Then it goes back to that central location and is signed back in. Now, in that sort of case, if you've got several thousand people in the building, obviously it's a lower percentage of who actually is going to need it. We might say that you might need 2 or 3 kits to support that. Now, the opposite side of things is we've got some companies who have bought the device themselves and they've installed it in their boardroom. Maybe it's boardroom 1 and boardroom 2 have a SpeakSee device in there. There's a little laminate set of instructions in that boardroom which say, if you need to use SpeakSee, this is how you switch it on, this is how you work it. So they've decided to deploy it into a meeting room like that. And obviously, if you need a bit of communication support, you book meeting room 1 or meeting room 2. So there's several ways to do it. The other one as well, which was interesting with the BBC, is, and I think we've got one of the banks use it in this way as well. When they have a town hall meeting, they call it, where you might get all of your employees together. You might have 500 of them in the room with you and another 500 that have joined kind of on a video call link. The person at the front wears a SpeakSee mic, as do 2 or 3 of the other people who are speaking. They then provide the QR code for people to scan and access the subtitles in that way. Or you can just have it on a dedicated screen for the people in the room, on a big 60-inch screen or whatever they've got. So you've got all of the captions coming up next to the people as they speak. So there's several scenarios, Stuart, and we'd need to have a chat to see what they want to do.
No, I think you've answered that very comprehensively, Adam. And as you say, it would probably need a further chat, maybe offline. Okay, I'm conscious we're coming up to the hour. Adam, we're very grateful for your time. I'm conscious that one or two people have put in the chat that they found it really interesting, but they have to leave. So we're going to wrap it up. If anyone is interested in finding out more about SpeakSee, get in touch with us here at Sight and Sound. info@sightandsound.co.uk or sales@sightandsound.co.uk will get us. You can call us in Northampton on 01604 798 070. And Carl and his lovely team will be very happy, I'm sure, to speak to you and tell you more about it. Adam, we've thoroughly enjoyed having you as part of our Webinar Wednesday. Please come back because you're doing great work, and we're delighted to be playing a very small part in that as well. So thanks a million for coming along. Thank you, everybody, for attending today. And we will be back next month, the first Wednesday in June, with another Webinar Wednesday event. So thanks, everybody. Stay well and enjoy the beginnings of the summer. Adam, again, many thanks.
Thanks, guys.
Take care.
Take care. Bye-bye.